Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to talk to you about 3 mistakes to avoid while going out for local landscape photography. First of all, you should always check the weather before going out. Well, for example, if you go out when it's sunny, blue sky, and you go to woodland, you're gonna have a really hard time to shoot pictures because the woodland is full of pockets of light because the canopy can only deflect so much light. And yeah, you can still shoot nice pictures, but it's way harder, and usually people don't have the luxury to go out every day to shoot pictures, so you should use your time properly. On the other hand, if you have an overcast sky instead of a sunny blue sky, you're gonna have a way better time going to a woodland area because you will have very even light, no harsh pockets of light, and it's way easier to compose images like that. And then of course there's the third option, which is you have some clouds but the sky isn't full of them and the sun is also out, and in that situation you can basically go anywhere. If you go for grand landscape photography, or I guess open space landscape photography, you can have an epic sky and that could look really cool. And on the other hand, if you go for woodland photography, you may still have harsh pockets of light, but if there are enough clouds, you will have a good time as well because the light will probably still be even. And also maybe you can snag a sunstar and that could look really cool on your woodland picture, I think. Right, so I already found my first composition. It's these birch trees here behind me. They're being lit by the sun from over there. I think it looks really cool, and I'm going to use this grass here in the foreground. I'm going to put my telephoto, the Fujifilm 70-300 on. I'm not sure what focal length I'll choose yet, but yeah, I'm hoping for a good picture. Mistake number 2 to avoid when going out for landscape photography is not packing your bag the night before you go out. Because especially if you go out in the morning and the light is already up and you have to hurry and everything, you don't want to scramble for all your things. Maybe you forgot your camera, your lenses, your tripod, maybe just some accessories like a hat or gloves or whatever. Yeah, so avoid that. Don't forget to charge your batteries, because that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. That I got out in the morning, I got to an awesome location, the conditions were absolutely fantastic, and I wanted to turn on my camera, and it did turn on, but it had 1 bar left, because it was on the entire night in my camera bag. So yeah. Look out for that and try to avoid that. You will also want to delete everything off your SD cards, or actually transfer it to your computer. What I usually do is, as soon as I come home, I'll just transfer everything from my SD cards to my computer and then delete everything off the SD card. Though usually I have enough space on my SD card when I go out again, because I usually, when I shoot pictures, it's an APS-C camera, somewhat low megapixel count, I guess. So the files aren't that huge, but I don't really like mixing all the files up. Also, if you shoot video or you have a high megapixel count, you'll have huge files, and it would be a shame if you couldn't take pictures because of a full SD card. You will also want to set aside all the clothes you'll wear in the morning, and especially if you looked out for the weather the next day, you'll know maybe it'll rain, so you should definitely put aside a raincoat, and also accessories here like the hat I mentioned earlier, or gloves or something like that, because you don't want to scramble around in the morning to look for all these things and then be in a hurry and have to rush, because that's really not the goal of going out to take pictures. You should also clean your camera sensor and your lenses before going out, because especially if it's raining or something like that, you really can't risk cleaning dust off your sensor or your lens, because there's always the risk, of course, of rain coming in there. And yeah, it would be a shame if you would be out. It's awesome conditions, maybe it's light rain, something like that. Everything looks super saturated, and you have a dust spot on your sensor or your lens, so watch out for that. Also, if you're out, you should definitely bring a hot beverage like tea or so, because especially, I don't know, it's not that cold today. Earlier was a bit colder, but especially if you're standing at some spot for a longer time to compose a picture, something like that, it can get very cold. So yeah, just bring a hot beverage. Cheers. Another thing that applies not only in cold weather but in all conditions, I think, is you should always bring a little snack, maybe a little more than that, because it would be a shame if you go out and have awesome conditions, you're shooting great pictures, and you're so hungry that you don't want to be out anymore. So yeah, just always bring a little snack. It can really benefit you. Alright, so mistake number 3 to avoid when going out for landscape photography, and that mistake is kind of twofold. The first one would be, and that goes hand in hand with mistake number 1, is you will want to have a location in mind at least the day before you go out, because you don't want to rush in the morning to find a location, and also you should choose location according to the weather forecast. And the second half would be, you should always plan in enough time. Especially if you go to a location you haven't been to before, and maybe you're going for a sunrise or a sunset shoot. The light moves quickly, and you will want to have planned in enough time to not have to run. Because photography really isn't supposed to be rushed, but you're supposed to take your time and think about the pictures you will create. Alright, so today may be a prime example why planning your shoots doesn't always work, but can still be beneficial. Because I came to a location, it's a new woodland location I have never been to before, so I didn't really know what to expect. And I checked the weather forecast in the last couple of days, and it said it would be cloudy today, and I'll show you, it really isn't. It's basically just blue skies. There's a tiny amount of clouds in the sky, but other than that, it's very much sunny. So it's kind of hard to take pictures in the woodland right here. But I realized where I am, it's kind of a valley, and when you go up on either of the sides, you'll have, I guess, rolling hills. I think on my side where I'm right now is a golf course, but I'll count that. Yeah, and I'll just make do with what I have, but it goes to show. The planning, you can do all the planning you want, but it all doesn't always work. Right, I just found my second position. It's really cool. There's a meadow in front of me now, behind you, and it's really just green, but it's being lit by the sunlight, so it almost looks white. And there was a crane on there, and I took a picture of it. But before I could take my tripod out and show you, it flew off. Alright, so I moved a little closer to the crane again, and I think I got a really nice picture, even better than the one before. But as you could see also earlier, the sun is a bit too harsh. It's blue sky instead of overcast, what I expected. And yeah, even though there's some open space right here, it's mostly a woodland area. And yeah, with these harsh pockets of light everywhere, it's a little hard to take pictures. So I'm gonna head home, I'm gonna have some breakfast, and yeah, so this is it for me for today. If you like what you see in this video, I'd appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up, and obviously you can subscribe to the channel for free. That really helps out, and yeah, If you have any thoughts on what I said in this video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd tell me in the comments down below, and hope you have a good day.